I'm a part of a collective who's involved in a specific area of work focused on removing Toronto police officers from our Toronto high schools. Our organization is called Neighborhood Organized Coalition Opposing Police in Schools. We were formerly known as the newly organized coalition opposing police in schools, as Kabir just mentioned. So just make that notified change.
Let's keep the acronym.
No cops. I'll give you a brief history of how our organization began. In the wake of the Jordan Banners killing at C.W. Jeffries in 2007, there was a lot of concern about the safety of violence pertaining to youth in marginalized communities. I guess you've heard the term the 13 at-risk prioritized neighborhoods, as the media and the police refer to low-income racialized communities that have subsidized housing, low-income housing, Toronto Community Housing Corporation housing. There was these two lavishly funded reports paid at the expense of our taxpayers' dollars. One was the Falconer report, and the other was the Curling and McCurdy report. They were titled "The Roots of Youth Violence." And these very well explained and researched reports indicated or suggested methods to enrich the educational experience. Not only the educational experience, but the community experience, the livelihood of these youth who are growing up today in a very dispossessed society, where communities are continually having resources extracted from them. Community centers cut, library hours cut, after-school extracurricular activities cut. And so they're being exposed to the harsh realities of, capitalism. We wanted to touch on disaster capitalism. These are issues of disaster capitalism, how things are unfolding. So in 2008, the end of the 2008 school year, in June 2008, the Toronto Police Services initiated a program called to place Toronto police officers in schools. And this initiative was brought to the Toronto District School Board executive, and the decision making was made behind closed doors with the board of directors. And from there out, they've implemented this program. The police will be placed in 31 Toronto public schools and Catholic schools, so 21 public schools and 10 Catholic schools. This was to begin the 2008-2009 school year. Throughout that summer, there was a huge lack of community consultation in terms of beginning this program, which means even within the TDSB administration, there wasn't, a sit-down or a forum where they can discuss the issues and the problems of placing police in schools, or even just having a vote whether or not they should have police in schools. We offered to the principals and the trustees, who then made the decision, we will put police officers in school. And in the 2008-2009 year, the schools that did have police officers in them were schools situated in the prioritized working class neighborhoods. So the general population were working class racialized kids, who experience police in a whole different manner than kids, let's say, from Forest Hill or North Toronto, to be specific. So this is how No Cops began. We are comprised of concerned students, parents, teachers, and community members who find it very problematic to have armed police officers in the schools because of the reasons that Justice for All, Salma and Kabir had mentioned. So we began, our methods of work are very distinct from a lot of these other social democratic organizations that exist out there. We believe that true information, true investigation comes from speaking and associating with the people who are directly exposed and involved with in these communities. So we began, first and foremost by researching how the program began. In all of these high schools that had a police officer in them, we found out that there wasn't a community consultation. The basic thing, or we call even the parent council or the student council, which is not enough, and I'll get into that later on. But going around having a town hall meeting where you can put this on the table, saying, should we have police officers in school? That was not done, except in the community of Jane and Finch, which C.W. Jeffries is situated in, and Westmead Collegiate. That was the one community that actually had a trustee, Stephanie Payne, bring this issue to the community, who overwhelmingly opposed having police in the school. Thus, police were not placed in the 2008-2009 school year as they were supposed to be. Community opposition actually had a voice. But so we began. We went to we went to the Toronto District School Board, and we found out that the Ethics Advisory Board, I believe it's called, whatever, it's the official committee within the TDSB that created the SRO program, which stands for Student Resource Officer. That's what the police officer's role in that school is. And they began to tell us what the role of this officer is. And they told us that the officer's there to help with field trips, coach basketball and various other sports teams, begin with cooking programs, act as mentors, guidance counselors, and, all these things that you would have teachers and social workers do. Is that correct? And so, we found that very odd because police are not really trained to be in an educational environment. They shoot guns, they arrest, they enforce the law. They're not trained to deal with, children who are in a learned environment where there should not be a police officer with an arm, with a gun in his holster. So we found out, okay, this is the role, and that these police officers, are not supposed to act as police officers. They're there not for safety issues. That's not the primary reason. They're there to offer a resource because the Toronto Police Services has $1 billion at their exposure that they can, financially provide certain resources to take a school class on a field trip, or fund